Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to a very special episode of Beyond the Bank Phillies podcast. It is now our 10th episode, and this is a very special one. I'm your host, Pete, along with my co host here, Henry, and we have a very special guest with us here today.
We do. We have co-host and producer of the afternoon show on Sports Radio WIP, co-host of the High Hopes Phillies podcast alongside James Seltzer, and leader of all things Phillies sports talk radio, Jack Fritz. What's going on?
How are we doing? So 10 episodes? I couldn't have made it the fifth one. Like, we had to wait until the 10th episode to be like, all right, now it's time. We can bring them on. I will say, pretty smart timing. Like, if they had just, lost 2 or 3, God forbid, to the White Sox, would have said no, obviously. It would be despondent. So, the fact that they've won 6 straight, it's not bad timing here. Not bad timing at all.
Yeah. And we had the 5th episode. It was, I don't even think it was the season yet, or it was very close. So we were like, when are we going to, when was the time right,
Right. Well, yeah, it worked out well. It worked out well, for sure.
We said earlier that it was like, if they lost today, it would have been a very different pod.
Yeah. Well, there was never a doubt. Even when they went down 2-0, it was like, they should be all right. They should be all right.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great timing, absolutely. But let's rewind a little bit. We're gonna start off with the series at the beginning of the week with Colorado. Obviously went really good. We swept them. What are some things that stood out to you, and what is some player performances that really went above and beyond?
Well, it was interesting because the first game it was like, it wasn't great. I know Nola ended up being really good, but at the same time, it wasn't like the most inspiring offensive performance. And then the offense slowly started picking it up kind of as the week went on. But really, the star of the week and the star of that series is the starting staff. They've just been on such a ridiculous run. Now, at the same time, they're not exactly playing the best of the best. But, hey, listen, if we can do the whole those guys get paid too, technically, those guys get paid too. So, I think the biggest star of the week is obviously the starting staff, which has just been raising its game, every single start. Nola allowed all 3 earned runs this week. That's it. That's all it was, 3 earned runs. So, I really think that the starting staff, even back to the Colorado series, it's been a really, really good run for them. And I like the quotes that you started to see come out of we're trying to one up each other and stuff like that, because when people talk about the 90s Braves and what that rotation did, and even the 11 Phillies, it's like, yeah, they're all teammates, but they all want to also go out there and keep the streak going. And I think that's how great winning cultures are kind of created.
Yeah, I was actually just going to bring up the competing thing, because it seemed like you guys talked about it a lot on High Hopes last postseason. It seemed like, Nola would go out and Wheeler was like, you know what, I'm going to go an inning more, or I'm going to go however much, more. And it seems like each one of them is trying to one up each other. And it's almost like that on the offense now, too, with the way that they're heating up. Like Schwarber's trying to top Turner, but it's, Turner's been super hot so far, so it's great to see that they're competing. It's a healthy competition,
Well, and it's really good to see it translate to the bullpen too. Like Ricardo Pinto trying to one up Gregory Soto and trying to make a laughable game into a close game for absolutely no reason. So there's even competition when it comes to who can blow this game more. And it's just one day at a time, just competing. That's what this team does.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that stood out to me, especially Monday, and obviously, to start the season, the offense is really inconsistent. And that game, it just showed me that, okay, we're struggling a little bit with Colorado, but it didn't take until the 10th inning for a guy like Pache coming off the bench to really get us over the hump. And it's just like, are we going to be like that? It's okay to do that against bad teams like Colorado, but when it comes to great teams, that's really not going to go well sometimes, and maybe not all the times, so it's just that type of thing. Especially with Nola, like you said, he was the only one that was giving up runs this week throughout the whole starting rotation. So it's something that just stood out to me, especially with that game and going into the other games with Colorado. But just the offense is my main thing that worries me sometimes, is the inconsistency of it.
Yeah, they do this, and it's frustrating. and then they kind of get into the little bit of rhythm they've been in since really Monday, and it's like, maybe they'll be okay. So, with the offense, it kind of feels like it's settled down. Like there was nothing more annoying than the first week of the year where people were making the obituary or being like, okay, well, this is how this whole year is gonna be.
Guilty.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with reacting in the moment. I'm a big react in the moment guy. But I feel like it was a little bit of like, can we just take a deep, a deep old breath, and it's not you guys, it's not High Hopes listeners. There might be some WIP listeners in here. It's just like
Matt from Bristol.
Just go follow the team in July. Like don't pay attention right now. When it's September, I'll let you know when to retune back in. I don't need the daily meltdowns for an April loss. It was a little too much. So, this whole week, even going back to the Rockies series, I mean, obviously Ranger was brilliant, and we get it, but it feels like the offense kind of is just settling into themselves. Schwarber got on base, 3 times? He walked 3 times today. He hit a sack, 2 sack flies, 1 sack fly, and then he went yard, and it's like, he's kind of settled into it. Turner settled into it. Harper, I believe he's batting 240 right now. Would you be surprised if he ends the month batting 280? I could see him just going on one of these Bryce Harper kind of streaks. The 4-hole is really interesting to me. I don't love JT there. He got off to a good start, then went cold. Bohm's heating up right now. Maybe you put him there. But it feels like even top to bottom, Stott's cold, but I never get too worried about Stott, I guess. And then even Johan Rojas, it doesn't look like a total disaster at the plate. So it kind of feels like, even going back to the Rocky series and this White Sox series, they've kind of just settled into the season. And I think we're seeing the best version of this team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think Bryce is just he wants to get in on the party, but he's just not quite there yet, he's a tick off on almost every pitch. I had the same opinion as you as far as the JT in the 4 spot, but I'm just not ready to put Castellanos in the 4 spot.
Well, really? What gave that one away?
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, he did really well in the 4 spot last year for the stint that he had. And the only reason I wouldn't put Bohm there is because I just love him being the 5th hit in the 5 hole. I just think he's the perfect quintessential 5. He's a pull hitter. He reminds me a lot of Jason Worth, and I know Bryce Harper's mentioned that before, but he reminds me a lot of him. Just his build, the way he swings. I just would love to keep him in that 5th spot and not have to push him up to 4. When I get PTSD from the Diamondback series and not moving him.
Yeah, it's difficult because JT's down to, I believe, 243 after the game today, and while Bohm, sure, you feel good about him in the 5 hole, Bohm or Realmuto also shouldn't be in the 4 hole. So it's almost the lesser of two evils. Alec Bohm is back to leading the team in RBIs. Even though he can be frustrating sometimes when it comes to not hitting the ball out of the ballpark, or not hitting the ball into the gaps,
driving the ball into the ground.
Yeah, just ripping it into the ground. He's got 18 RBI. He's leading the team right now in RBI. So in the 4 spot, we know it's a traditional kind of run driving in spot in the lineup, and I do believe that runners on third base, less than 2 outs, I feel pretty confident that Bohm's going to be able to come through. So I do wonder if they make that change. JT, obviously the biomechanics lab, is off to a little bit of a cold start. But it's all right. We've had some pop. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think Bohm, really, if Castellanos could just freaking hit, man, just put him there. But and I know he had success there last year. Yeah. I can't just blindly put him there and be all right, you'll be fine. Figure it out. Saturday was a good step forward. Had 3 hits. Today, bit of a step back. But yeah, I I would probably stick Bohm there, and even though the Diamondback series happened, I would just live with it.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing with JT, it's like, he went into that biochemics lab and he started off okay. And listen, at least I'm just thankful that they're not as abysmal at bats as last year. Because last year I would text Henry all the time saying like the at bats are just I want to gouge my eyes out with how
Oh yeah,
bad they were. And it's just like it's great to
no
see
one
that like
worse.
he started okay, and then like you say he's kind of gotten cold a little bit. And then Castellanos to me just feels like an automatic out right now. And it's annoying because I've talked to Henry about like just the half effort swings, I can't stand. Like it's just it just feels like there's no effort behind it sometimes.
Yeah, it's like he goes up there and just has no idea what's about to happen, and that's what makes it even more frustrating. He is such a conundrum when it comes to how we feel about our athletes in this town because on one hand, we love raw, we love real, we love like you just be who you are, and and then it's like, well,
But you got to play well.
like why are you swinging at a slider? That's started as a ball, man. Like, can you just grow up and get the ball in the strike zone? I have no idea, but man, he is infuriating when he's going like this. I will say, I mean, I know it's the White Sox, but I think we're starting to see at least somewhat of a driving of the baseball. It's been more singles than anything, but man, at least his part of the lineup's not totally killing them. I mean, it does stink that right now you're getting nothing essentially from Stott, Castellanos, and Rojas is mixing in some hits here and there, but still it's not like impactful. It's more like keeping his head above water. So it's not like I don't know. I guess I'm just at the point with Castellanos where I'll let him kind of work through his struggles and hope that 850 OPS May is coming because that's what he did last year.
Every other month.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 850, 450, 750, like 550. Like he just was up and down all last year, and it's. I'm so surprised that it's like this inconsistent because it felt like for 8 years there, it was he's going to hit you 40 doubles. He's going to bat close to 300. The power is going to be more 25 home runs. But, like, he's not going to be an automatic out. Yeah. And it's just like every time I watch him now, it's like I couldn't have less faith in a hitter.
Well, it's funny because I was at the game where he hit the walk-off against Pittsburgh. And
another excruciating game.
Oh, yeah.
Excruciating.
It was like what. Me and Pete's biggest thing is why do they have to make everything so difficult? Nothing can ever be easy,
Never. Never.
But I was standing with my girlfriend, shout out to Gabby, who DM'd you about our Instagram account and everything, whatever.
Yeah.
But we were standing there, and I looked over, and he was walking to the plate, and they had just walked. Who did they walk? They walked Bohm, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think they walked Bohm. And the way he walked to the plate, I said to her, I said, this is going to be different. He's going to put the bat on the ball here. Like, I'm not exactly worried right now. And he hit the ball right over the center fielder's head. So it just seems like it's very much vibes with him. And like you said before, like this team is just a vibes team. It seems like he said after the game, that was the first time this year I wasn't going up to look for something to hit. I didn't, decide if I was going to swing basically before the pitch left the pitcher's hand. So It just seemed like there's moments where he's so relaxed, and then there's moments where he's just like gripping the bat real tight and just these half-ass swings. Sometimes it just bothers me. I'm one of his biggest fans, but I still try and hold him accountable when I can.
That's good. That's what we do. It's all about accountability. So yeah, he. I mean, there's no baseball team or really sports team in general that like the old traditional rules. Whatever. We're strictly vibes. Like it's all good. We're just gonna go roll the ball out and see what happens. But man, he's just Nick Castellanos, and you gotta hope this hot streak's right around the corner because if you get him going with everyone else, like I know the beginning of the year, they definitely were not taking care of business against some bad teams. At least they're not doing the usual April Phillies thing right now, and they are beating up on some bad teams and hopefully settling into the season a little bit here.
Yeah, thank gosh. But let's go off the batting for a little while. But let's talk about the pitching this week. I mean, and you brought it up earlier. It was amazing. I mean, it should have been start of the week. And let's talk about Ranger. And I had a clip. Well, there was a clip from me from an earlier episode where I before the season started, I told Henry, I said, Rangers Cy Young winner. I mean, it was almost looked like a lock to me, but I didn't put it in. But it's just like he's been amazing.
It looked like a lock at like plus 20,000,
plus 13,000. I believe.
13, but that's how I was like,
the old traditional looks like a lock at plus 13,000.
I was that confident though. That's how I was feeling. I was like, man, I don't know. He might put on a show this year, man.
Yeah, I'm so happy, man, because I love Ranger. I think we all love Ranger as Phillies fans, and it again, like I talked a lot about on High Hopes and Final Out and everything, is that like heading into the year, he just feels so underrated by everyone that's not a Phillies fan, and Phillies fans are like, no, Ranger's our guy. Like he's very clearly good.
Underestimate him if you want.
Yeah. And it's all like the fantasy community who like he doesn't strike anyone out, or he doesn't strike most people out, and doesn't have like overwhelming stuff. So people are like, well, I don't really get the Ranger Suarez thing. And then you watch him pitch, and it's so throwbacky. Like he's such a 2010 pitcher. Like Ranger Suarez is exactly what I grew up watching. I've seen Ranger Suarez before, and I don't know, man. I think he's one of those guys that seems like every Phillies fan's favorite Philly. You know, he reminds me a bit of Devontae on the Eagles. Like Devontae's my favorite Eagle. I love Devontae. He's just like keeps it real, like no BS, calm, cool. He goes out, does his job, works hard, and that's Ranger. So I couldn't be happier that he's off to this kind of a start. It was so freaking funny. Like they were laying out the Red Series, and it's like, oh, this guy 2.25 ERA, this guy, and it's like everyone has an ERA under 2.5 right now. It's insane. And then there's like Turnbull who has a 1.2. It's nuts. So I just I'm really happy for him. He's competitive. He's a bulldog. One of the better fielding pitchers I've ever seen, at least for this team. Like it's not wow plays, but it just makes every play right at him. Nonchalant. And just goes out there and you're more surprised than anything if he doesn't go six innings and allowing 3 runs or less. Like it's pretty much you wake up, roll out of bed, and bang, Ranger's gonna go pitch well tonight.
Yeah, it's like death taxes Ranger Suarez. You know, like that's what it seems like, and it seemed like that for the last 2 years. And it's funny because I was at that game like I said, I was at that game, and
how many games have you been to this year?
He's been to a lot.
I've been to a lot. So I have the Sunday plan. I have the Sunday plan, and then since my girlfriend works at the stadium, I buy all the Saturday games. So it's like, and I had to go to BOGO night because who can turn down a $2.50 hot dog? Not me.
Like I just am so surprised there was such an out. Maybe when I turned 30,
I was in shambles.
I'm sure. I could tell. Maybe because I turned 30 and I've turned into like a curmudgeon. It's like they're just freaking hot dogs, man. Like, can we just take a deep breath and stop like wanting to burn down Citizens Bank Park? Like, just don't throw them at people, and maybe you would have had it this year.
Yeah, that's their fault. I agree. That pissed me off.
It's just like relax. Can we calm down with the
I wasn't as mad as
dogs.
some people were, but I was just disappointed because I liked going to Dollar Dog Nights.
That's good.
I wasn't throwing. I wasn't getting hammered and doing whatever.
On. But I mean, listen, you're paying 50 cents more. It's buy one get one free, is it not?
That's true.
So rather than $2, you're paying $2.50. Like Like what are we talking about? So listen. You seem like you've been to a lot of games. I do like that you do have the Fanatic.
I got it today
for
the Fanatic's birthday.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
I got it today.
Good. It's beautiful.
Which is that Padres mascot a monk? What is that?
That was scary today, man. That was scary. The Orioles mascot. I never knew it was that scary. I saw it today.
Come on.
Yeah, it's just a bird.
Right.
But like just the way it was looking, like the head shape, and I was just like, okay, like I've never seen it before, so I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, if the Orioles, and this is strictly fantasy related, but like if they could get Jackson Holliday to figure it out, like he's tanking my season right now.
I'm just so sick of the people that are like, oh, is he a bust? Like he's had 30 at bats.
Well, so it's interesting because I feel two things about it. Like obviously the people going over the top are annoying. He's going to be phenomenal. I don't care.
Yeah, you can just
But
see.
like also the first game, you would have thought that like Babe Ruth reincarnated was making his major league debut. Like he's a really high level shortstop prospect that I like. I mean, I remember when Acuna made his debut. I remember when like Tatis made his debut. I was like, I'm pretty sure they're better than Jackson Holiday. So I was just like a little surprised. I guess I was just shocked. I mean, now on one hand, you can't get mad at Major League Baseball because like all people say is, well, you don't market your stars enough. So like, I'm proud of them, I guess, from that standpoint. But also, I felt like this is a lot of pressure on like a 20-year-old.
20, yeah, I think he's 20.
Yeah, so it's I could use him getting a hit, but it's okay. It's a quick rant about Jackson Holiday in the middle of the
I think
pod.
his dad being a major leaguer, and I think the way that the Orioles sent him down after the spring training that he had, because like I watched a good amount of spring training games, not as much as you, but I do watch a good amount of spring training games, and he was killing it, and then all of a sudden he doesn't break camp. So I think they just wanted to stick it to the front office a little bit.
Well, I guess my big hope is that when Aiden Miller makes his debut, I want the same hype.
Nice.
Give me the same level of excitement.
I want the me personally, I want the Steven Strasburg treatment for George Clausen. I know he's your guy.
Yeah, he means a lot to me.
Yeah,
yeah, he means a ton to me. There's the Threshers are my favorite team. Like listen, we can talk the Phillies all you want, but like.
But have you seen the Threshers?
Break down the Threshers. Yeah. Have you watched the Threshers? They are phenomenal. No, I'm just kidding. All right, back to the White Sox series and the pitching staff.
Yeah, and not just Wheeler too, but I mean, you brought him up earlier, Spencer Turnbull. I mean, he was amazing in his start the other night, and it just, I mean, shout to him, give me points in fantasy, so I'll take him. But I mean, he's just been. And this brings it to another point of with Taijuan Walker possibly coming back soon. I watched Spencer Turnbull play. I'm like, you just can't take him out. It's very frustrating because you just see the writing on the walls and what's going to happen, basically, when Walker comes back.
Yeah, and it's just going to be so annoying from the standpoint of like, okay, Taijuan comes back, gets shelled in his first 3 starts. Might happen, might not happen. I anticipate that's what happens. Yeah. I mean, he came back today.
4 runs.
Touched 90 3 times. He walked 3 batters, struck out 1, allowed 4 earned. Like, it's just it's the worst. And it's like, okay, so then you take Turnbull out of the rotation. Let's say Turnbull, he gets out of a rhythm, and you try to rush him back out there, and all of a sudden he's back to this Spencer Turnbull from before. Like, I think we've gone too far with worrying about the innings. Like, what is so bad about just making Taijuan Walker the long man? Is it because you're afraid of Scott Boras? Is it because he's paid $18 million? Like, just make him the long man. And if he goes and shoves, great. Then we can have a discussion. But until Spencer Turnbull shows me he should not be in the rotation, like, I don't need to just take him out of the rotation because Taijuan Walker is coming back. And, like, I mean, we talk about the vibes of this team. I mean, like, they are a team that, is kind of riding on the momentum of all these guys, and bringing Taijuan back into the mix and having to go down 4 runs in the first inning and having to, like, work extra hard for it. Like, I don't know if they're thrilled about the idea of bringing Taijuan back, and I think it's a whole guys that have earned it should be able to go out there and be rewarded for that. And Taijuan has not earned it at all. I mean, not even close. And Turnbull looks really good, mixing in 5 pitches. It was a good bounce. Like, I thought after the Cardinals start, it was like, well, like the Turnbull thing was fun, but maybe the wheels are kind of falling off this thing. And he went right back to shoving. Like, he's a tough hit. He's a tough at bat. So, yeah, I'm already annoyed about Taijuan. But at the same time, I think they've been all right with these kind of decisions over the last couple of years where it seems obvious, and then they're like, we'll do the right thing here. I mean, they did cut Didi. They did cut Odubel. They did cut Jerry Familia. Like, they've moved off players. Now, none of those players had 3 years, $54 million left in their contracts. But, yeah, I guess like, if Taiwan's in the rotation, I'll get mad. But I really wouldn't be super surprised if they're like, just go kind of sit in the bullpen for a little bit and continue to ramp up because we can't take Spencer out of the rotation right now.
Well, it's funny. Pete laughed when you said Scott Boras because I've been very starkly against not against Scott Boras, but I've been very outspoken about the fact that he held the free agents and stuff that long. But I think part of it is kind of like you said, they're scared of Scott Boras in a sense, but I feel like they're scared of how Taiwan's going to take it and what it's going to do to the clubhouse, because clearly he wasn't okay with it in the playoffs. He was there liking tweets about the manager.
Right, but like, who in the clubhouse is going to be super upset that he's not pitching? Like, I don't know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, like, if they put, like, I don't know, if he's mad, then if he projects it on the other people is more so what I'm saying. More so behind the scenes, not necessarily having him on the mound versus not.
Yeah, it's a really tricky situation, and I could see them not wanting to offend Scott Boras because they would like to. They have a good relationship with him right now after having, I don't know, like 20 some years of non-existent conversations with him after the JD Drew thing. So I don't think they want to ruin that. It ultimately just comes down to player performance, and he just has not done it for all of last year and so far through AAA. So it's gonna be really, really interesting to see what they do. I mean, today when they were laying out the whole, and it would be a quick turnaround regardless, but still, they put Turnbull in the rotation today, so at least he's getting like one more start against the Reds. But I just, like, if he goes out there and goes 7 innings, 1 run or 2 runs, like how do you take him out of the rotation for a guy that just has? I just don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do it. So we'll see. I kind of trust them to make the right decision, and I know Dombrowski gave him the contract, but I also think he has a good feel for the ball club. I think Rob Thompson has a good feel for the ball club, and I guess we'll kind of see what happens. But I'd be disappointed if Taiwan's back in there.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I look like an idiot. I look at myself as that because I was celebrating the Walker signing when we signed him in the offseason. And it's just like, just never panned out. And I was bragging to my friends, just like, oh, we got Taiwan Walker. He's gonna be a good guy, put behind Wheeler Nola. And it's like,
what do you think it was? What do you think they were getting? 2015 Taiwan Walker? 2016, like the top prospect Taiwan Walker.
Coming off a World Series run, I figured, hey, he fits right in and give us something. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna run it back. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough decision, and it's just, I think Turnbull right now, he's got momentum, and I don't think you should stop that at all. I just think it doesn't make sense at all. But moving into trade deadline, because you brought up the topic the other day on high hopes, and it made me laugh because I'm just like, no way he just said that. But I was like, in a sense, I'm like, it might have been a thought here or there so far, and we're still kind of early into the season.
Oh, like a thought on the trade deadline? Sorry. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot. The most interesting thing I find about the trade deadline is, like, all right, let's say Castellanos is not doing it. Like, he's not going to be batting 160, whatever, or whatever it is now, like under 200 for the first half of the year. But, like, I guess I just wonder if there's like a Bobby Abreu type move here. Now, that team didn't make the playoffs. This team will make the playoffs. But I wonder if they would find a way to cut bait if it gets like so bad. Like, is there a situation where the Castellanos thing gets so bad that they're like, all right, we have to cut bait? Issue is, I don't really know who's coming out to play that position. Like, I don't want Pache out there every day. Yeah. I need to see more than one home run from Whit Merrifield before I'm like, all right, there he is. Now, Scott Kingery is heating up in AAA. I'm just saying.
I bring him up almost every episode.
Just saying.
He makes the same face every time.
Yeah. I'm just saying. But I'm excited to see, because I've just been feeling like eventually there has to be a Dombrowski move, like the patented all in, you push our chips in. And last year's team around the deadline, I don't think they fully believed that team. Like, they were kind of in and out. They were hovering around 500. They were over it, but they weren't exactly the most inspiring ball club. And obviously they got Rodolfo Castro and Michael Lorenzen, so it wasn't like the all-in offseason. And then or all-in trade deadline. And then this offseason, again, it's just like I keep waiting for it. And I think where they're at right now is they actually have interesting prospects that they can move. And like when you talk about the Phillies prospects on Twitter, it's always like farm system sucks, and whoa, they're gonna wait till they're 25 to bring them up. Like just because that happened with Ryan Howard, who was blocked by a guy who hit 612 home runs or whatever, like doesn't mean that they just wait to bring everyone up.
Right.
So I think they have people now that they could trade, and obviously we'd be surprised right now if they needed a starter. Bullpen, if they want to go get a lockdown guy, maybe. And the bat, I mean, people get excited about bats, and I guess my main thing I'm looking forward heading into the trade deadline is like what happens with the Castellanos thing. Is it so bad that you ride it out? Does he heat up, or do they try to find someone to eat the rest of that contract and attach a big prospect to it? Because you look at him in the lineup, and then you look at Taiwan in the rotation, you could probably only get rid of one of them if you wanted to. And I guess first come, first serve of who's going to take one of those guys. But I like my main thing with the deadline is I think there's an all-in move that could happen. And like, what do they do with Castellanos?
I definitely agree. And I mean, it's just tough because I remember listening to the afternoon show when you were working the free agency desk on the day of the free agency deadline. And you were almost like not disappointed, but you were like confused. I remember it seemed like the whole show was like kind of confused that there wasn't a Dombrowski move.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like you said, we're almost at a point where we can get rid of prospects. And because at the end of the day, prospects are prospects. I love watching the minor league games. I love keeping track of all that.
Well, some prospects are prospects.
Some prospects are prospects, yes.
I say it all the time.
But yeah, Pete says it all the time. That's why I shouted it out.
I mean, Aiden Miller does exist. Okay.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Untouchable.
He's got value, though. He's got value.
Don't get me wrong. There are certain people who...
He's got value to me.
Right.
He's got value to this organization. You're damn right. Yeah. Don't even think about it.
But it seems like we're at a point now where if you get rid of certain prospects, you still have the Aiden Millers, you still have the Clausens, you still have Andrew Painter, you still have all those guys. So I don't see us getting to a point where if you trade a bunch of prospects, they're not going to be all these top guys. We're not going to be a organization that loses 100 games after this championship window. Like you'll have people to supplement the roster. So I feel like that's what makes this so much different than when they essentially blew things up and started the rebuild, you know?
Yeah. No, they're fine. The health of the organization is in such a different spot than it was during that time.
Exactly.
And it's so exciting. Like we're not going to go like, all right, I don't, how old are you guys? Like 25?
I'm 24. I'm about to be 25.
So you're 23, you're 25. Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially from your like early high school days to like 2 years ago,
we were tortured. Yes.
Yeah, the Phillies
Tortured.
didn't exist
Awful.
to a majority of the city. So I don't think that I would be surprised, frankly, if that happened again. Now, obviously, you have the extra team, so that makes it easier, and I get it. But like, they were just a poorly run org. It was so stuck in between, like, okay, are we an analytics team? Are we old school? And like those two have butted heads and stuff. So I think they'll be fine from that standpoint. Hopefully they can just establish themselves as one of the best in baseball. The real thing, and I haven't brought it up on IOPS yet, but I'm gonna need them to retrade for Sixto Sanchez. Just to bring him home, put him in the bullpen. He's starting to heat up. He's on my fantasy team, and they need another right-handed weapon out of the bullpen. So let's go.
We brought Robert Covington back. We might as well bring back Sixto Sanchez. You know,
dude, we've brought a lot. People forget. They brought Nick Foles back, and it turned out that turned out pretty well.
Yes,
so maybe Sixto,
right?
Maybe Sixto is our Nick Foles. They brought back Freddie Galvis too. All right, they brought back Freddie.
Oh jeez, yeah, they did.
See, I hear those names like I just like, oh, man, Maikel Franco's one of them. Like all those guys, I'm just like, I wish.
Was your guys' first like real hope Don Brown? It was Don Brown.
For
The
me,
first
yes.
one that was like, bang, there it is. That's
Yeah.
our guy.
I remember wanting to be in front of the TV. This was before I was an adult, obviously, and before I had responsibilities and jobs and stuff. I wanted to be in front of the TV.
What responsibilities? What are you talking about?
Hey,
Yeah, not as much responsibility as some people, but I remember wanting to be in front of the TV or at the game to watch his first home run because I was
Yeah.
like, "This is where the Phillies come back," and it's just not so much.
No, well, dude, I mean, his first at bat was electric, though. I mean, he ripped the ball off the wall, and it was like, all right, we have a star. Dude, he was rated just behind Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. Like, that's sickening. That's sickening, when it comes to that stuff. So, no, I think Pete. All right, you guys listen to High Hopes, right?
Mhm.
So,
yes, sir.
I think people think that it's a joke, like thinking about the trade deadline. But I'm like, there's no jokes here.
No.
I
No
look
bits,
forward.
no.
There's no bits. I mean, life's a bit, but like,
Yeah.
but with the Phils, man, there's no bits. There's no bits. It's just strictly living every single day. So, yeah, it's I can't wait for the deadline. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. I was like, listen, you said that. I was like, I laughed, and I was like, he's kind of got a point. I can't lie. I mean, starting to think about some things here. It's like, man,
Hold
like,
on. Now we're what? We're 6 games over 500. So we're right in the thick of this thing. We're squarely in the wild card. It's time to make a run. Go at a big piece.
I would
like,
love.
I remember when they traded for Jay Bruce. It was like June 3rd.
Jay Bruce.
He's the man, man. I loved him.
And dude, I mean, his first series out in San Diego was stuff
That's what I'm
of
saying.
legends.
It was, yeah.
Stuff of legends. But I was like, they can't make a trade early at all. Like, we gotta wait 2.5 months for a trade.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great if the momentum of the Braves and Mets can slow down a little bit, so we can maybe move up. Like it's like we got momentum.
The Mets don't count. They'll be.
I told Henry the other day. I said they're setting up for the collapse, though. All the fans are getting hyped. They're winning these series, these games early in the year. Oh, we're beating these teams. These good teams. Like, okay, well, we know what happens when it comes later in the season. So I was like, hey, they're just setting it up.
When the lights are the brightest, they fold.
Always.
Anti Mets around here. Can't stand.
Yeah, we're big time anti-Mets.
That's good.
We had a group chat called "F the Mets." I'm not going to say, bleep the Mets is what we had.
This is a family show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Family program.
So moving into our next segment, we're bringing it back again. BTB mailbag. So we posted on the Instagram account yesterday for some of our followers to give us a statement or question regarding the Phillies or Phillies player as of right now. I know a couple people have posted on there. So Henry, if you want to start out and read the first one, go ahead.
Yeah. So we have one from Gabby. It's based off the season so far. What are we feeling? Who should be sitting? Who needs more play time? Predictions for the season in general.
So I think I'm actually all right with it all right now. I don't think Whit Merrifield needs more at bats. I don't think that I like Christian Pache a lot, but the Rojas thing is difficult because you see him and it's like you would like a little bit more, but at the same time, like I'll let him figure it out in April, and then if he's heating up right now, we know that, but if it's looking as bad as it did early in June or mid-May, then I guess I'll go to more Pache. But for right now, I don't need to rush to get Pache out there. Even though I think he's a good player. I'm surprised at how they've handled Pache, and I don't know. I think he's a pretty decent player. Merrifield, I was glad he got the home run the other night. Maybe that's kind of getting off the schneid a little bit. Frankly, and it's a bit of a surprising answer, but I would honestly say Stubbs. And not from an anti-JT thing at all. It's just why did he play today? You don't have an off day all week. Did you really have to put him? You already won the series. If you go 5-1 this week, it's not a disaster. So you go to Cincinnati, you go to San Diego. Did he need to play today when you have no off day? And I assume he probably plays, or Stubbs plays Thursday, but JT played the entire week. And I know the off day at Thursday, but he's down to 243. Like we don't have to run JT into the ground. You know, he is getting a little bit older. I know he's a tough guy. I know it's tough to have those conversations with him to get him out of the lineup, but you also have to protect your player at some point. So, you know, I guess the one is Stubbs, but it's not even an anti-JT thing. It's like I just want them to manage the JT situation a little bit better.
Yeah, it's more so of like a protect JT thing. It's more pro. It's way more pro than it sounds.
Yeah,
but he catches Stubbs tends to catch Turnbull pretty well because I think
and
caught his first 2 starts, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why I was surprised like he wasn't in there Friday night. You know, I thought they kind of had those two lined up but I guess you want to make sure you get the first win of the series, so you put your best lineup out there. And first off, I'm dumb. It was Crochet. Like Garrett Stubbs would have 0% chance of getting hit off of Garrett Crochet. So
never know.
That's why they did it. But still, today, that's the one that's still. Let's get Stubbsy out there, and especially on the Fanatic's birthday. I mean, Stubbs is probably going yard on the Fanatic's birthday.
Who better? I mean, really,
no one better.
I agree. With the protecting your own players thing. I think my answer is fairly, I mean, I guess common if anybody was asked this question. I think Castellanos just needs a day off. I don't know if it's a thing of he wants the at-bats to get better or needs the at-bats so he can get better. But, I mean, you mentioned it. He's the only one without an off day so far. I mean, it's getting to a point where people are getting mad seeing him on the field, and I could care less about that. But it's like he just needs a day to rest and get his mind right, whatever that means for him. But he just needs a day where he can be, you know, he can relax, he can get some swings in the cage, whatever he needs to do. And I'm not gonna him and Hall about having Pache and Rojas in the same lineup for one day. I'm not saying sit him a whole series, just for one day, you know, or have Witt out there. Who knows?
Well, and like the Patton did, you have an off day Thursday, get Pache in there Wednesday, and give JT the full or Castellanos the full days off. Like, I appreciate wanting to hit your way out of it, but also you're not hitting your way out of it. So,
Exactly.
So, like, at some point, you got to take a step back, but I'm sure they will. They're probably letting him kind of dictate it at this point, and then if it doesn't work, then they'll step in and try something else. But yeah, the Castellanos thing is, I mean, listen, one game of Pache, Rojas, and Marsh. I mean, I don't know if a ball's going to fall in. That's a pretty ridiculous outfield.
Yeah. And I can tolerate it for one day, you know?
Yeah.
It's not you're trotting that out there for a week. He just needs some rest, you know?
I agree.
Maybe get Liam up to the ballpark. Who knows?
For sure. That's all that matters. Getting Liam there.
Yeah, Castellanos, he just, I don't know, it just needs a break. It's just, like I said before earlier, just a half-effort swings, just swinging outside. It's not doing it right now. It's not. It's still automatic out. Going into our next one, Patrick Smith, shout out to my boy Patrick. He made a statement saying Johan Rojas should not be in the lineup. His glove does not make up for his bat.
Well, I believe he's batting, what, 3-something this week?
429 in the last 10 games.
429?
I just looked it up. Yep.
That's good. And the good part is, like, the eye test kind of backs it up. It's not just a bunch of, like, little rinky-dink hits. Like, they seem more real than not. And even some of his outs, he's been kind of squaring up. So I think that's a very early season, like first 2 weeks of the season take. But if you've watched the last week and a half, like I want him out. I don't dread Johan Rojas at bats. He's been making more solid contact. He is wreaking havoc on the base paths, which is what you want to see.
Awesome.
I think he's only struck out once all week.
Yeah,
so
somewhere around there.
So he's walking a little bit more. If you can get him, I mean, technically, he's in the batting to like 263 right now. I don't know if that's going to be the entire season.
Yeah.
But he's just so good defensively. Like I think Pache's really good too. He kind of looks like a deer out there, like trying to learn his legs a little bit.
Yeah.
But like Pache just Rojas just glides. So I'm now that the rest of the offense has kind of figured it out and they're settling into the year, it makes the Rojas batting thing that much more like less painful, and I'll let him kind of work through some things as long as I see him in center field because he is transcendent out there.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring up how different he looks from everybody else because James Seltzer brought it up on your on High Hopes. Like when you watch Marsh out there, it's not like, oh, we have such a bad center fielder, but it just looks so different when you have Rojas out there versus him.
So
And Marsh is in my opinion, an above average defensive player, but Rojas is just so much better than him at the center field position. It's hard to want to take him out of there.
yeah, and Martian left is a stud, like really, really, really good. So I'm totally with you. I just let him kind of figure it out. He's had a really good week. Take it. Tell Pat to calm down. We'll wake us up with the Rojas takes in June. Okay, June 1st is when you give us a month and 9 days. Okay, that's when we can revisit the Rojas conversation.
Yeah. I was a Rojas hater coming out of the season, and I'll give it
Me
to him.
too.
The last couple of
not
games,
today, yeah.
he's really stepped up. I like seeing stealing the base pads and stuff like that. I love seeing that. It's awesome. Getting a second, driving and runs stuff like that. It's awesome to see, and he's definitely improved a little bit. And I think at this point, he just needs to keep seeing at bats. And I get tired of like hearing people say like, oh, these are bad teams and blah blah blah. It's like at the end of the day, sometimes playing these bad teams is what gets this team, going sometimes to build that momentum. What we were talking about earlier, and going into these tough series, like I can't stand hearing people say that because it's like, all right, yes, you're right, there are bad teams, but this can help some guys out in the lineup, like people like Rojas. So,
well, and the fact that like everyone still has stuff. It seems like in Major League Baseball today. So,
right.
It's not like they are literally a AA team out there. Like they do have some arms. I mean, Crochet's
he was leading the league in strikeouts coming into that series. I'm pretty sure
the most strikeouts in baseball, and they lit him up. I mean, Bomer lit him up, but still, like, they lit him up. So, yeah, I hate the whole like they get paid to thing, but it does matter. And
you can only play who's in front of you. Let's be honest. It's like when the Eagles went 10-1. You can only play who's in front of you.
Oh man, your record says you are. Yep. Yep. Don't even watch the games. They're 10-1. It's definitely real. It's definitely real.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna say it again just to make sure I don't forget before the pod ends. Brandon Marsh is an everyday player, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I know I keep saying it, Henry, and I know Jack, you probably agree, but like he's an everyday player. I understand some people need breaks, but I'm getting tired of seeing him being left out of the lineup half the time, especially against lefties. He can hit lefties.
I think it's only happened once since the first week of the year. So it seems like the Phillies have gotten the hint too. The Phillies have gotten the hint too.
I think once he hit that third home run, they were like, okay, like
they're like, fine, we get it. Stop tweeting. We get it. All right, we'll put him out there. We get it. All right, we were wrong.
We've had 4 or 5 tweets ourselves. Just he's an everyday. Anytime he does something good, he can catch a fly ball. We're like everyday player right there.
Yep.
Like
literally.
Yep. We get it. You think he's good? We got it. He's out there. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so man, that was Jack. Thank you so much, man. That was
thank you.
More than what we could have asked. But yeah, so make sure, real quick, I want to say, make sure to go listen to High Host Podcast. Shout out to you guys. It's a great podcast. Make sure to go give it a listen. We love it. You guys bring the energy all the time. So, but yeah, Jack, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome having you on.
Well, I mean, listen, if your girlfriend didn't DM me, I wouldn't be here. So you're very lucky. You're very lucky. You're very lucky. No, it was a good time.
I remember getting the follow from you, and I called Pete, and I was like, did somebody make a fake account? And like we only had like 20 followers at the time, and I was like, how is this even possible?
Listen, might have had a few beers, frankly. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
Whatever gets the job done,
I'm just kidding. It's all good, man. So, keep up the good work on the pod. Keep grinding, and I mean, don't get too good. But like, but definitely, it's a shared It's a shared space. It's a shared space.
Yeah.
So moving into our next topic, some around the league news. I know you got some stuff to talk about. What's been going on, man?
So I don't know if people have seen this, but the hitting coach for the Colorado Rockies, Helmsley Mullins, was videotaped in the cockpit of their plane or the plane that they were on. They videoed this, and the only reason anybody found out was because he tweeted it.
Wow.
And they asked the manager of the Rockies, and he said that, you know, it's a little shaky right now, but I can't say anything because of the investigation.
Yeah.
But this is just wild. Like, where is your organizational discipline? You know what I'm saying?
Where's your
Like,
pilot? What is
yeah, your
going on?
bro, yeah. Let you
That's
can
what I
ask the
want to know
hard, yeah,
first. That's
you
what I
can
want
ask
to
the
know.
hard questions. But I mean, it just supports the whole Bryce Harper thing. Lose organization. That's
Hey,
what
man,
happens,
he
and
was
that's what
spitting
happens.
facts.
We got swept. We didn't get swept. They got swept
But guess what?
by us.
I'm glad we didn't get swept. This would
Oh,
have been a
dude,
terrible
if we,
episode.
bro, the plane jokes would have been unbelievable.
Oh, it would have been ridiculous. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
it's I don't
I know.
know
I
how
know
that
you have a couple
happens.
things too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know there was so it actually happened in one of today's games, with the Rockies, ironically. So apparently a fan got in the way of a possible walk-off home run, that was hit by oh McMahon was it
Full disclosure for everybody that's watching, my jaw did drop because I had seen something about it, but I wasn't sure what the situation is. So Pete's telling me this in real time, like what's happening. We didn't go over it before we started recording, like nothing. Like this is me reacting to this in real time.
yeah, literally.
Not to
So
cut
yeah,
you off, I was just letting
no, you're
people
good. I
know.
was
Like
trying to
I
find
am shocked.
the name. Oh, Jacob Stallings. Jacob Stallings. Sorry. So yeah,
Yeah,
apparently
I rolled my eyes at him, not you.
no, you're fine. But yeah, so apparently it was supposed like it looked like it was going to be a possible double off the wall or whatever, just because of how short it was going to land, and obviously with the fan reaching out over the wall, it seemed like it was going to be short, and of course the fan got in the way, and there was a whole controversy. But I mean, luckily for Colorado, I think they ended up walking off anyway in the 10th inning, so it really didn't matter. But the whole point of it is
Just
stop getting in the way of play. Like if you're a fan that sits like up close to the fence and stuff like that,
yeah.
like don't even think about trying to reach over. Like I know you want the ball, whatever, blah blah blah, but like just don't do it. Like it's just like don't.
It's funny because this reminds me of we're both basketball guys, you more than
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
but it kind of reminds me of these people that sit close to the like on like courtside that think they can
Oh
say
yeah,
and do whatever they want.
yeah,
These people think that they're on the fence so they can just do and say whatever they please and there's no consequences. Like you're affecting the game that everybody's here to watch.
literally.
Like everybody's there to watch this. I don't know if you remember it. This was a long time ago. The Phillies were playing a game under protest because a fan reached out and grabbed a ball and it was over the player's glove. It's like it was just the
Jesus.
player's glove. The fan caught it up here, and there was enough video evidence for them to be like, "We're protesting this. Like this is fan interference." Like it was just, and that was back before. I'm talking like old Citizens Bank Park days. Like this is not. I think it might have been an away game actually, to be honest.
Hmm.
But there was enough video evidence then to be like, we're gonna play this on their protest. It's not like it wasn't a thing where they had 25 angles of instant replay and they were
Yeah,
like, we do show fan interference. This is the situation. This is what we're gonna do. It wasn't
yeah,
like that. I don't know when this was a long time ago. I feel like it was like late 2000s. Like it was a while ago. And I remember watching with my dad and I said, what are they doing? He's like, well, they're playing it under protest because they kept saying it on the broadcast. I was like, well, what does that mean? He goes, this game may end up not counting. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that was possible.
yeah. That's kind of
It's this
insane.
entitlement of certain sports fans. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and it's like, especially with just certain situations, I feel like, got like for safety reasons too. I feel like it's just like you never know what can happen. God forbid somebody falls over the fence and gets hurt. It's like,
100%.
bro, just like you got to just chill, man. Like
Well,
just wait and see what happens.
I
Like,
mean, you know the worst case of the fan interference. Do you know what I'm talking about? The worst case ever?
yeah,
It was in the Cubs World Series. They had gone, I don't even know how many years it was at that point,
hmm
but the guy listened to his transistor radio, reached over the thing, caught it, didn't realize that he was in interference. Like, how unbelievable.
it's
And
just
it,
like
and they didn't win one until 2016. or
Nope.
whatever it was.
Nope.
Like that's tough, man. That's tough. Living his life had to be a hard one.
Oh, it was terrible.
From
I
then
heard
on, like,
it
oh,
was
dude, he
awful.
was yeah. I've seen it. I saw a documentary on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Dude, wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. I can't imagine being that guy.
Don't interfere with the play. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
That's
don't
that's
yeah,
just
I don't know what else to
that's
tell you. Right.
that's what you got to do.
It's
So,
it's a
but yeah,
shame because it seems like these places are almost being built so that way there's going to be no interference, and it's just like
yeah,
that's unfortunate.
it is. It is
It's
unfortunate.
like the Phillies have, and sometimes it's just the way things are structured. But like the
Yeah,
Phillies have the ivy in center field, like the big patch where there's no seats, and they have the bullpens up and down. But
yeah,
so they need somewhere to put the bullpen. But it's like you see more and more stadiums putting gaps between the
yeah,
wall and the first row of fans.
for sure, for sure. Yeah. Well, hey
It's
man, like we
unfortunate.
said, don't
Unfortunate.
don't interfere with the play and wait to see what happens.
So moving on, we're going to go into Pete's picks of the week. I know this week they were very accurate, thank goodness.
So
Um,
accurate.
you thank goodness that you put a little caveat in there. We would drop a game, and it didn't happen. So
Thank
I'm not
God
going to hold it against you. But what you got for this week?
for this week. Yeah, it's. I was thinking we were gonna lose a game to the White Sox, and I don't know why,
Hey,
but
but they've been due.
yeah,
They had like 3 wins coming into this series,
it
so
just. I'm glad it didn't happen, or I would have been pissed. But for this
this would have been a
upcoming
very
week,
different pod.
yeah, exactly. It definitely would have been. So for this week, they head out onto the road for like a long road trip. And they start out with the Cincinnati Reds tomorrow. They got Ranger on the mound against Hunter Green. I'm gonna say we start off the series with a win, just with the momentum that we have recently. I just feel like we're gonna take that into the next series. Hunter Green's still a very young pitcher. He's shown some flashes here and there from last year and this year, but he has struggled as well. He's given up a lot of earned runs in some of the matchups I've seen or looked at, and I just think the guys are hot right now, so they'll go into a series with a win. I will say we will probably drop one. I'm going to say we probably drop one on Tuesday. Obviously, superstition will probably just going to be due for a loss, unfortunately.
Yeah, I
And
mean you can't go. You can't go. How many losses we got? Like 8. It's like you
yeah,
can't go 154 and 8. Like it's not
yeah,
going to happen.
exactly. Yeah, it's not going to happen at
And the
all.
Reds are a
So,
good young team.
oh yeah, absolutely. And and then I think we win Wednesday, and I think we win. I think we win 3 out of the 4. It's a 4 game series, so I think we only drop one.
Okay.
Cincinnati, it's a good team, but I just think, like I said, the boys on a roll right now. We got some momentum going, and some of the bats that were a little slow are starting to come out of the woodworks a little bit. Some guys are still kind of struggling, but I think the momentum will carry them into that series and take 3 out of 4. And then we go into San Diego starting Friday. I know pitching matchups aren't announced yet. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna say that we drop 2 to San Diego. I
Okay.
feel like because I just feel like San Diego is probably gonna play us tough. They're one of those teams this year that a lot of people thought they were gonna be bad, but they actually been playing decent in some series.
They
And I
have.
think they'll catch the boys by surprise. And I think we drop 2 out of the 3 because of the 3 game series, unfortunately.
Ta
So
Tatis is hot right now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I just
That
feel
that
like
that's what's in.
yep, yep. So those are the picks for the week.
All right. That's it's I'm hoping that we take 3 of 4 from I'd be more happy if we got 3 or 4 from the Padres and split with the Reds.
Yeah.
Only
Well, I
because it's it's given me a little bit more cushion on my picks, first of all.
yeah.
But I just think that I don't know. It's I mean, we talked about it with Fritz. It's these bats are starting to wake up, and it's like they're waking up at just the right time.
Yep.
So and who cares if it's against bad teams? You play who's
Exactly.
in front of you. So I just I wouldn't be honestly I wouldn't be surprised if we went 6-2 and won both series. Excuse me, and won both
Yeah.
series.
And
Um,
hopefully we have good weather out there too. Hopefully.
dude, this weather's been so bad.
It's just
When
been
I was
weird.
at
Like it's been on and off.
when I was at the game today, it was like cold. Last night, Saturday night, I
Mhm.
was freezing,
It's
freezing,
just
and I was like, I feel like I live in Seattle.
Yeah. I went to the game the last Wednesday against the Rockies, and it was good throughout the whole game, whatever. And then like eighth inning came, and like the bullpen was giving up runs, and then it started raining, and then people started leaving seats. It's like, dude, what is up with the rain? It's like
Yeah.
it's coming through at the wrong time right now. So
Right,
it's
right,
like we don't
right.
need this, bro. We don't need this. Like
Yeah.
it's just let's just get out of this bad weather like phase right now and just get
Yeah.
into that warm weather so the balls can
Yeah.
start flying too.
I was
So
just
I
about
mean,
to say, so the balls can start flying.
uh,
Because once they start flying, dude, I'm telling you, and Bryce and Trey are both warm weather hitters. So
so is Schwarbs.
yeah,
June.
Schwarberfest.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait. All right, so that is probably what we'll end off at. First and foremost, I just want to shout out to Jack Fritz for, coming onto the podcast, being a guest. He was amazing. Really had some good conversations about the Phillies, and hopefully maybe somewhere down the road he'll be on again, man. It was really exciting.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. We'll
He's a
see.
man.
We'll try to he's a busy guy, so we'll see
Of
what we can
course,
do.
of course.
But also, last but not least, just want to say, make sure that you are hitting the download button on all the audio platforms that you listen: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Make sure to leave a review. I know I keep saying the last couple episodes. That would be really helpful. That'd be awesome if you guys can do that. We appreciate it. Same with the YouTube stuff. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, run up those views. And yeah,
All right, go Phils.
go Phils. We out of here. Peace.